All right, so let's now go ahead and look at a few more of these questions out of 1.3. The next ones are the investment problems. And again, I'm going to set them up, but I'm not going to completely solve them. So let's look now here at question 14. So Walt made an extra $9,000 last year from a part-time job. He invested part of the money at 8% and the rest at 6%. And he made a total of $640 in interest. And we want to know how much was invested at the 6%. So what we're going to look at first is we're going to look at our total amount. Okay, so the total amount represents how much money that we have total. And we have a total amount of $9,000. And so we've got $9,000, and we're going to have to break this into two separate accounts. And one of these accounts pays 6%, and the other one pays 8%. So it doesn't matter which one we call the 6% or the 8%. It doesn't matter. Whichever one you want to put first, you can put that one first. Now, what do we know? Well, we don't know how much money is in the 6% account. So we're going to put an X there. And we also don't know how much is in the 8% account. Well, we can't just put another X there because they're not the same. So what this one's going to be is whenever you have a total and you don't know either one, you call the first one X, and the second one is the total minus X. So in our case, our second fund is going to be 9,000 minus X, because these are going to add together to give you 9,000, right? Because one is positive X, the other one's a negative X, and they're going to cancel out, and that's going to leave you with the 9,000. Now, we have not at all looked at the $640, because the $640 is the interest. Remember, when we look at a bank statement, what do we have? You have how much money is in that account. So let's say there's $15,000. Okay, so $15,000 is in that account. It'll then tell you the interest rate that you have in that account, maybe 1 or 2%. And then it'll tell you how much money you made in interest, maybe $150, $200. Okay, so amount is way different than the interest earned. So our total amount is the 9,000. The 640 is the interest. So now let's go ahead and work with the interest. And remember, your interest is going to be the amount times the percentage rate. And so on our first account, we've got 6%. So that's 0.06. And how much is in there? Unknown amount, X. Second account, 8%. So that's 0.08. How much is in there? 9,000 minus X. And this is interest, so what's our total interest? Well, your total interest in this case is going to be that 640. So now you have your equation, and you should be able to finish it and solve it from there. I know most of you struggle with the setup more than actually working them out. So I'm going to leave that for you to finish. That way you have something to work on. But I have got you the equation to work with. Similar is question 15. So that's going to be the next one we look at. This is going to be question 15. Okay, so there's your equation on the last one. And again, you'll have to finish that out. Now, question 15 is another investment problem. And Roberto invested some money at 6%, 4,000 more than twice this amount at 9. He made $34.80 in interest. How much was invested at the 9%? So similar, but a little bit different. So let's go ahead and do the same setup. In this case, though, we don't know our total amount. We're not going to use that $34.80 because that's the total interest, not the amount of money. Remember, if you think about a bank account, you may have $20,000 in the bank account, but it may only make $200 in interest. So big difference. Okay, so we don't know the total amount, but we know the interest. So let's look at each one of these and try to build our equation. So we've got our amounts, and we've got our percentage rates that they pay out. And so we know we have a 6%, and we have a 9%. What about the 6%? Well, if we read our question, it said Roberto invested some money at 6%. So we don't know how much is in there, so we're going to use an X. What about the 9%? Well, the 9%, it says 4,000 more than twice this amount. So 4,000 more than twice that amount would be 4,000 plus 2x for twice the amount. And if we add these across, then we get 3x plus 4,000 for our total. We don't really need our total, but we're going to go ahead and find that just so we don't accidentally make a mistake and put in that $34.80 because that's your interest, not the total amount. So we now have worked with our amounts. So let's go ahead now and look at our interest. Well, our interest is again the amount times the percentage rate as a decimal. First account, 6%, so that's 0.06. How much is in there? Unknown amount, X. Second account, 9%, so that's 0.09. How much is in there? 4,000 plus 2x. And what does it equal? Well, this is from our problem, and we want the total interest. And our total interest in this case is $34.80. And now you can finish it from there. So what we did was we looked at our amounts and our interest rates first. Then we used the interest that was provided in the question to build our equation. That was question 15. Now we'll look at question 16. Mixture problem. In a chemistry class, 8 liters of a 4% silver iodine solution must be mixed with a 10% solution to get a 6%. How many liters of the 6% are needed? Okay, so let's look at this in terms of a mixture problem. Very, very similar, though, to the investment ones that we looked at a moment ago. 3 boxes. These represent the chemical containers. Each of these has an amount, number of liters in this case, and a percentage rate. So when we read this, it says in a chemistry class, 8 liters of a 4%. So that's going to go here, 8 liters, 4% in box 1. We're going to mix that with a 10% solution. We don't know how much is in there, so we'll use an X. Percentage rate is 10%. These add across for box 3, and that gives you then X plus 8. And we want to get a 6% solution out. So there it is. Now we just build our equation. So we want our pure. And pure is the amount times the rate. And on our first one, we've got 0.04. That's your 4%. 8 liters are in there. Then we've got our 10%. That's 0.1. Unknown amount, X. And then for our third container, we've got 0.06 times X plus 8. And you should be able to finish that one from there. All right, but it's all set up. All you have to do is solve the equation. But hopefully this setup now makes sense. We've got a couple more mixture type of problems to look at. 18 is going to be the next one that we examine here. So let's talk now about question 18. It's similar, but a little bit different. So for question 18, what we're looking at is we're looking at mixing coffees together. Different varieties of coffees. They cost different amounts of money. So let's now look at question 18. So a mixture has coffee that's worth $3 a pound. Mix it with 60 pounds of coffee that's worth $7 to get a $6 per pound mixture. So we want to mix two different types of coffees. And this is question 18. So we've got two different types of coffees. And they're going to mix together to make a coffee blend. So the amount is going to be the number of pounds of coffee. And the cost, well, that's going to be how much it costs per pound. So a merchant has coffee that's worth $3 a pound. So we don't know how much of this coffee we have, so we're going to use an X. But we know that coffee costs $3 a pound. We're then going to take that and we're going to mix it with 60 pounds of coffee. And that 60 pounds of coffee costs $7 a pound. We're going to mix them together and we're going to end up with a mixture that costs $6 a pound. And if we add across, well, that's X plus 60. Now we're going to look at our total cost. And our total cost is the amount times the cost per pound. So on our first one, we've got $3 a pound coffee, unknown amount, so that's your 3X. Second one, we've got 60 pounds of coffee, $7 a pound. And the third one here, $6 a pound coffee, and we've got X plus 60 to multiply through. So we now have built up the equation. So you should now be able to finish question 18 on your own. 19, we've got two more. We're going to do 19 and 20. So question 19, another mixture problem. How many liters of a 10% alcohol solution must be mixed with 90 liters of a 50% solution to get a 20% solution? Okay, so let's look at this one now. Again, we'll use our containers here, 1, 2, and 3. We've got an amount and again a percentage rate. How many liters of a 10%? Well, we don't know, so that's X, percentage rate, 10%. We're going to mix that with 90 liters of a 50% solution. So that's box number 2. For 3, remember we just add across, and that's X plus 90. And we want to get a 20% solution out. Diagram is made. Now we look at our pure. And what's our pure? Well, pure again is the amount times the percentage rate. So for our first container here, we've got 10%, so that's 0.1, and unknown amount X. Next, we've got 90 and liters and a 50% solution, so that's 90 times your 0.5, that's your second box. And your third box is here, and it's 0.2 times X plus 90. Now you've got your equation, so you can finish that one out. We've got one more question that we're going to look at, and that's question 20. And last class period, we kind of talked about this one, but we're going to go ahead and look at it again. I think it's one of the best applications that we have to understand percentages. So at the end of the day, the storekeeper had $1,260 in the cash register. And that was a sale of the goods and a tax rate of 5%. We want to find the value of the taxes paid. And this one I will work out all the way, just so you understand how it all goes together. Now let's review taxes. So again, taxes, well, that relates to a percentage of the amount spent. So the more money that you spend, the more you're going to pay in taxes. You're going to pay a lot more in taxes on a brand new car than you would on a new television. The same percentage rate, much different amounts though. So we're now going to look at that 1260. And what is that 1260? Well, that 1260 is the total. And that 1260 represents the sales that we made that day, plus the tax. Now, tax, how do we find the taxable amount? Well, remember your tax is a percentage of the sales. So that's going to be your sales times your percentage rate. That's your taxes. We don't know our sales, so we're going to call that X. And we do know our sales tax rate. Okay, sales tax rate, it says in the problem, is 5%. So 5% is 0.05. So we now have 0.05, unknown amount X for the sales. And that equals your 1260. When we add these together, be very, very careful with the decimals. So those will add together. And that's going to give you 1.05x. And that equals now your 1260. We'll divide by 1.05. And that leaves me with x equaling now, I believe it's 1200. Let me double check. We've got 1260 divided by 1.05. Yep, that's $1,200. So what do we have so far? $1,200. That's your sales. Now we want to find the amount of the tax. And so there's two ways you could get it. You could take your 1260 minus your 1200. Now we give you the $60 in tax. Or you could take the 1200 times 0.05, which is your tax rate, and that's going to give you the same $60. So either way, what's your taxes that you have to pay? Well, the taxes that you have to pay are going to be $60. That's the last question that I'm going to work out from 1.3, your homework. Hopefully this will help you finish up 1.3 and be ready for 1.4 next class period.